I think that feels like a nice package there.
Yeah.
Wow, look at those phones light up. It's Felger and Maz on 98.5, the Sports Hub.
But it's just interesting reading the write-ups. Dane Bugler here, this beast, this athletic encyclopedia draft guide that's here in the studio. I think it's Fred's. Has interesting write-ups about their
family background.
Yeah. So
things of that nature.
For example, Rodriguez wanted to follow in the footsteps of his older brothers, starting with wrestling at age 3. Bugler goes back to what he was doing as a 3-year-old. He won the Minnesota Youth State Championships in wrestling at ages 5 and 7.
At 5 years old, he won the state wrestling?
He's giving us what he was doing when he was 5. So he won the state championships at the ages of 5 and 7. Rodriguez also played Little League football and often lined up as a quarterback. At age 10, the family relocated to Wichita Falls, Texas, 100 miles northwest of Fort Worth, where Rodriguez's love for football only increased. He continued playing quarterback throughout Pop Warner. Then at McNeil Middle School. In July 2023, he married his high school sweetheart, Emma, whom he met at a youth group at First Baptist Church in Wichita Falls.
That's very Texas, this whole thing.
Emma attended West Point and is now stationed in Fort Riley, Kansas as a U.S. Army Black Hawk pilot.
Wow.
For a medvac unit. Isn't that a cool write-up?
Yeah, definitely. That's
I don't know
story.
Why that's relevant for, drafting him, but it's cool. Bugler does that with every one of these guys. That's kind of a cool write-up.
I spend the whole year working on it.
So I can see why Vrabel would get all horned up for this guy. Yeah, football from Texas, and he doesn't look like Brian Urlacher to me.
He looks like a safety.
He looks, he barely looks like a football player, but he's all effort and guile and all this stuff.
How big was
He married his high school sweetheart, who he met at Baptist Church in Wichita Falls, Kansas.
Who was the old Dolphins linebacker? Zach Thomas?
Zach Thomas, yeah, he was small.
Yeah, maybe.
How tall was he?
Yeah, no, it's a good one.
Yeah,
that is a good one.
So if he's
what's his name wasn't that big either. Was Kuechly that big? Maybe not. Anyway,
but if he's a high energy,
Kuechly was explosive. Go ahead.
High energy ball hawk guy, I could get. I like that.
I can see why a football coach would like this guy. He's all football.
Yeah.
Zach Thomas, 5'11", 230.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, he's on the Felger Mass. It's an interesting guy to have on the Felger Mass Big Board. I'll just put it to you like that. Are they just showing a clip of him handing off? Oh, no, that's him on the other side. I'm sorry. Texas Tech.
He looks like a freaking cornerback.
Yeah. Well, anyway, put him on the board. Back to your calls on everything, as promised. Scott in Bellingham on Vrabel. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, I was just calling just because I disagreed with a point that Maz made earlier about how Vrabel has to answer to Kraft. To the earlier caller who mentioned, Diggs, and then you countered with Brady. Well, I doubt either one of those guys had to answer to Kraft. And Kraft, of all people, is going to ask Vrabel. The guy who's getting handies from sex trafficking victims is going to ask Vrabel.
Yeah,
about
the sex trafficking thing.
marriage.
Yeah, the sex trafficking thing turned out not to be. Okay, so let's be fair. That wasn't what was going on there. But the owner's the owner, man. The owner doesn't answer to anyone. That's
exactly
what it is to own the team.
Yeah, the other thing is, okay, fine. So you want to say, Robert, which, again, I disagree with. What about Jonathan?
So what does Vrabel owe? What does he owe, and who does he owe it to? So it's the right question to ask. I think he owes it to his players on the level of, I ask you to make good decisions and stay out of the New York Post. I have a low bar, but just make good decisions and don't be a distraction with your off-field activities.
Definitely.
That's what I ask you to do, and I didn't live up to my own standard. And for that, I'm accountable, and I apologize, or whatever. I think he owes him that.
He does.
He don't know much more than that. Now, I think that people on the outside are looking at this and say, Russini has been punished. She's lost her livelihood. And she's answered for herself, whether you like her statement or not. She's put her side of the story out there, and she lost her job. Now, what's happening with Vrabel? Where's he in all of this? I think people have the right to ask that. And so there's a whole other side to the story coming. And Vrabel's going to have to answer for it eventually because he's going to be asked about it. At the very least, at one of these press conferences, someone's going to ask him eventually. So does he just wait for that question to bat it down, or does he write out something beforehand or grant an interview beforehand so he can say, I've already talked about that? We'll see what he does there. I'm not saying he owes that to anyone. It's coming. People are going to want fairness. And she had to suffer certain consequences. So what's up with you? And that's coming. It's already started to come for him.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the next logical step of the story. It's the first thing that popped into my mind today.
Joe in the car. What do you got, Joe, on the beats?
Why do you not think that they beat the Sabres in 5 games?
I don't think.
What I believe.
Okay, well, I hope you're right,
The
Joe.
Sabres aren't what they think are.
I think the Sabres are better than you.
They're not.
And you're basing that on what?
Basically, the Bruins have been playing playoff hockey the whole year. The Sabres are just a one-time thing. The Hurricanes are nonsense. The only problem I think we might have is actually the Lightning.
Okay, well,
all
that's
right.
big of you, too.
Well.
They might have a problem with
No,
that.
I mean, I guess I don't have to watch until they play Tampa then.
I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, but up until the last 2 games where you were playing teams that were out of it, you had lost 6 straight, I think?
5 in a row.
Something like that.
5 in
yeah.
a row.
5 in a row. So we've been playing playoff hockey. You've been playing losing playoff hockey for like a month.
Correct.
They actually backed into the playoffs. is
No,
what
but it
they
was
did.
still playoff hockey. Yeah, no, I mean, they lost, but it was a playoff hockey.
There's delusion, and then there's that.
That was our Stephen Wright guy, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah, or a cousin.
Carolina is nothing. Bruins have been playing all year. Everywhere's walking distance if you have the time.
Continue with your thoughts and get to the Red Sox off of their pending big win today in Minnesota. Don't go anywhere.
Mike and Tony have a definite chemistry.
Are they?
100%.
Are they?
Yes, 100. Do I stutter?
Do you
Consider them the periodic table of sports talk.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Sorry. I don't mean to blow a gasket.
No. Blow it, baby. Blow it.
Felger and Maz.
You guys have seen a lot of these guys, even going back to spring training and then obviously what they did yesterday. I feel like the approach has been a little different than you would anticipate.
I do know they're hot. It's just a fact, and I wanted to come in and shut them down. And when a team's hot, you miss or you get behind or you get in hitters counts more often than not. They're going to do damage, especially when a team's hot. Yeah, but he's good. I mean, he saw it in the next bat. It was a 2-0 breaking ball, like 3 balls under the zone, right? That's a hot team. Like when you're homering on a 2-0 non-breaking ball, 3 balls below the zone, that's a hot player and that's a hot team.
That was Sonny Gray last night after his losing performance, and his post-game press conference was kind of jarring. But we knew this going into the year, that he might be one of these guys that Red Sox fans can't quite warm up to or relate to, or I don't know if it's a little David Price thing or Jeremy Swayman thing, or I don't know. There's named some athletes who don't quite connect with the Boston vibe. Sonny Gray might be one of them, and that was an example last night in that postgame. As what stood out to you?
Yeah, so how many times did he tell me they were hot? Or they were a hot team? How many times? It's a hot team. It was a 2-0 pitch. 2-0. So like there's a delivery there that again you got to kind of watch it too as much as hear it. But I will say that like he's kind of intense, sort of. Just a little, I will say, off center. I'm trying to be nice, but he strikes me as being uncomfortable in talking about the failure, and also. I had heard that when he did press conferences in Oakland, he used to bring a stress ball with him because it made him anxious to be in press conferences. Huh. So
Oakland.
Yeah, in Oakland.
Right.
If you said the Yankees, I'd say, okay. Well.
Okay, so I guess what I'm getting at is...
The 2 19-year-old bloggers,
and I'm not,
interns, made him nervous?
Well, right, exactly. So, and I'm not... This is going to sound like I'm picking on him. I'm really not. And I don't mean this in a... He might have like some sort of social anxiety or something. I don't know, whatever it is. But it now makes more sense to me because last night was the first time I've ever really watched at length any sort of interaction he had with the media. And I went, whoa, this guy is not at all comfortable talking about it. And he feels very uncomfortable trying to explain his failure.
Do we have another cut? Or was that?
No, that was Jimmy. The play the one that where he talks about the mental adjustments he had to make in the middle of the start. Can you play that one?
You mentioned not being able to focus when you needed to. What do you mean by that exactly?
I don't know. I mean, I just didn't feel like myself. And there are days that happens, and that's when you use all your cues and your mental cues and your everything that you have within you to just still go out there and compete, which is, I never shied away from the competition. I just didn't have it. Whatever it is, you can say stuff. This I just didn't have it, and I kept trying to find it and doing things that have helped in the past and whatever. I just tried to continue to compete, and like I said, I just got beat.
You ever been around someone that's so anxious it makes you anxious? That's what that's like. Hearing him is like an anxiety attack.
A little bit.
Yeah, and again, he also talks about mental cues and trying to do some of the things that have helped me in the past. So, and again, I'm maybe I'm reading into it, but I'm just telling you, this is what I come back to. This is why I think all this is relevant. There was a reason why it didn't work for him in New York. Okay, there was a reason it didn't work in New York. And this was the Red Sox solution for a number 2 starter. A guy who might not be totally comfortable in the market, maybe it's not what it used to be, had trouble in New York, and they acquired him because the Cardinals are paying $20 million of the contract. And so it feels like a bad fit. And after last night, it felt like more of a bad fit to me when I saw this. So I just think it's a bad environment to put him in. Think of what the spot he was put in last night. Crochet went out there the night before and got his face ripped off. They had to use the bullpen the whole night. So now Gray has to take the mound knowing, I got to go 6 tonight because they just brought up a guy from Worcester as a back, as a filler, which means we're out of pitching. We had to make a move because we're out of pitching. And then he goes out and gives up a run in the first inning, 2 more home runs, and now he's got to answer questions about being the second starter to fail when the 1-2 in the Red Sox rotation, making a combined $55 million between them, just threw up on themselves against the Minnesota Twins. And he looked and sounded uncomfortable. He did not physically respond to the game, and then afterward he sounded uncomfortable.
Give me number 1, Jimmy, please.
I felt okay. And then, I just wasn't, I just couldn't focus as well as I needed to. That's what it felt like the most. Balls come out of my hand okay. Just wasn't able to, A, put us in a position to win, which I feel like is our job, is the job of starting pitching, like I said. And B, they just beat me. They beat me and they beat us, and, I don't like that.
How about the end of that?
He's a different.
Yeah, and listen, different's okay.
Yep.
Like, I'm okay with different. Max Scherzer's different.
Yep.
But Max Scherzer, in a big moment, rose to the occasion and could handle the stress of being a major league frontline pitcher.
If their starting pitching goes south, they are porked with a capital P. And so Crochet had a night like I've almost never seen before. 2 nights ago, and then Sonny Gray was nothing last night. They rebound today, and it wasn't what's his face? Connie Early pitched well.
Yeah.
And it was 9-1 until they got to the garbage time here, and the Twins put up some runs late. It was a 3-run home run in the 9th. It was 9-1. The final today is 9-5. But I still kind of look at this Red Sox team overall, Maz, and say, oh boy, look out.
How could you feel any different?
It doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't feel right.
No, and again, they come out of there, winning the finale, and they went 3-3 on the road trip. Does it feel like they're stable?
No.
So that's always the word I use is like, does the team feel stable?
Vibes, as the kids say these days.
Yeah.
And you don't win with vibes, but it helps to have good vibes in the clubhouse. Does that feel like a stable environment, good vibes for the Red Sox in 2026? Not at all.
No, they're not. They don't feel in control of it to me, and that's why the good teams always have a certain stability to them, even when they're going bad. There's a certain stability there where you're like, they got this. They just, they're struggling a little, but they got this. This team does not feel that way to me. They feel unstable. And if you really look at it and you say, okay, their two best pitchers just lost to the Twins. They went 3-3 on a road trip where they should have swept the Cardinals. And I'm sorry, if you're going to be who you want to be, you got to go into Minnesota and take 2 out of 3. When you're throwing 2 of your best pitchers, you can't lose 2 out of 3. So sorry, not accepting that one either. 500's not good enough on that kind of trip. Wilson Contreras, who was one of the few guys that was hitting for them, left the game last night with a back issue, so he didn't play today. Who the hell knows what's going on there? Jarren Duran is flipping off fans in Minnesota. So there's now that. There's obviously frustration and stress building in the clubhouse, and it's showing up on the field. A lot of the guys in this lineup have more strikeouts than hits. They're really outside of Abreu, Rafaela, and I'm trying to think whether there was another one.
Well, Vinny has a graphic since you're referencing it. Why don't you tell us the details on that one?
Okay, so these are the guys that basically in the lineup outside of a handful of guys who have performed well. Just look at the numbers. Trevor Story, 14 hits, 24 strikeouts. He has 1 walk. Roman Anthony, 14 hits, 19 strikeouts. Duran, 10 and 16. Narvaez, 8 and 14.
8 hits, 14 strikeouts.
And he also has only 1 walk.
These are all players who have more strikeouts than hits. Continue.
Mike, these are all starters.
Yep.
These are not bench guys. I didn't include IKF, and I did not include Monasterio. I didn't include Connor Wong. Like, this is it. This is what they've got. So these guys aren't even putting the ball in play, let alone getting hits.
Marcelo Meyer, 8 hits, 12 strikeouts. The immortal Caleb Durbin, 7 hits, 9 strikeouts, and he's not even supposed to be a strikeout guy.
Right. Durbin's supposed to be a contact guy. Oh, look, Yoshida's giving him a little something. Abreu's been pretty good since the start of the year. Story hit a home run today, finally. But the bottom line is none of them are playing well, or very few of them are.
Caleb Durbin got a rest today. Did he ever get in the game? He didn't start.
I don't think he got in.
So I wonder if that's just a day off on a getaway day, or they have to take a look at him. I mean, the fact that he's hitting 2 is just a joke. To the point where we've been saying for a couple of days, is this a protest from Alex Gore? Is he trying to make some sort of point about the players he's been given? But a friend of mine sent me a tweet from Brian Barrett. Caleb Durbin numbers. He's batting 127. Out of 186 qualifiers, he ranks 185th. Okay, so all these rankings are out of 185. His 127 average ranks 185 out of 186. His 226 OBP ranks 174th. His 164 slugging percentage, I didn't know there were slugging percentages that low. I thought that was impossible. His 164 slugging percentage ranks 184th out of 186. His OPS of 389 ranks 184th out of 186. His 23.9% hard hit rate ranks 179th out of 186.
My favorite one is coming up.
Here's the best one. He has been credited with 0 barrels, tied for last. So there's someone else out there qualifying who has not barreled up 1 ball the entire season.
Correct.
He hasn't hit 1 barrel.
No, that's where his game is, in the barrel.
And that's your 2-hitter. Think of that. So
his bat is slow.
That one's on Craig Breslow. And I think a lot of it is on Craig Breslow. But the team's in a funky spot. There's no there. There's no... It doesn't feel like they're a team going in one direction.
I agree.
And the Jarren Duran thing is another little fly in the ointment that they're going to have to deal with, and I want to follow up on after Big Jim Murray, get you updated right here, and then we're right back.
Oh, yeah!
Thoughts, calls, emails.
Oh, yeah!
I get my jollies out of it. I do. I'm not a good person. Go ahead.
Felger and Maz.
Oh, yeah!
98.5, the Sports Hub.
And a 1-2 pitch. Swung on, popped up. Coming on, Rafael, out goes Meyer, and he makes the catch. Sadon grips it. Red Sox win this one. 9-5 the final here today. They salvage one of the 3 games in Minnesota. Off day on Thursday and home to take on the Tigers on Friday.
Well, 7th win of the year for the Sox. Guess what? They're 7-0 when starting pitcher goes 6 innings. So it starts and ends there. But big day for Trevor Story. 2 for 4, 5 driven in. 3-run homer that was really the spark to really set this thing apart. Good game all around for the Sox today. They needed that.
And then we have another Jarren Duran incident where he flipped off the fans last night in the middle of the 5th inning. And then said after the game that he got heckled or taunted over his mental health. Someone told me to kill myself. Duran said post-game. He said to reporters, there's no sound of this. Somebody just told me to kill myself, Duran said post-game. I'm used to it at this point. I mean, bleep happens. I'm going to flip somebody off if they say something to me, but it is what it is. I shouldn't react like that, but that kind of stuff is still kind of triggering. It happens. Duran appeared in a documentary released last April where he was very open about his mental health struggles. And he said that has led to a few disputes with fans at opposing ballparks. Quote, honestly, it's my fault for talking about my mental health because I kind of brought in the haters, Duran said. So it's just something I've got to get used to. Duran said he didn't tell anyone on the Sox about his heckling during the loss in Minneapolis. He didn't say anything during the game. Quote, I didn't really tell anybody, so that's on me. I'm just trying to hold it in, not really bringing it up to the team. I mean, we're trying to win a game. I shouldn't even bring that up to anybody. It's not really something I want to be like, bro, you should have heard what this guy just said to me. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to win the game. And yeah, it just happens. So, Maz, what are your thoughts again on that story?
So I looked at, there's some stuff online about how, the insensitivity to people who have mental health issues or whatever. And who's condoning that? Like, I'm not condoning that. Nobody's condoning that. So we all understand that. And if there's somebody in the stands that's jeering a guy with, citing the problems he's had in the past and that he's been honest about or what have you, then that guy's a dirtbag. Like, I'm not defending the behavior. What I would say, though, is you can't just exempt the other side all the time and chalk it up to the guy has a problem when Jarren Duran has done this now a handful of times. It's happened multiple times. He lashed out at a fan in Kansas City, Cleveland, last night, and also at Fenway Park, where he yelled at a guy behind the backstop with a homophobic slur. And that was Duran who yelled the homophobic slur at someone who was heckling him. And that one wasn't about mental health. So, like, I just think that the guy has difficulty dealing with the environment, and again, I would say his own struggles, because he's hitting $182. My guess is some of it last night was driven by the fact that he hasn't performed well. I don't understand why you can't condemn both sides for the way they handled it. Like that's sort of how I look at it.
I'm with Mass. The fan's an a-hole. Throw him out. Ban him forever. Ban him for life. At all stadiums. And Duran's mistake is handling it poorly, because the thing was when I saw it, it's like, of course it's Jarren Duran. And again, I'm sympathetic to his plight, and he deals with this kind of thing. But they have 2 players on that team that are just, it's like, of course it's that guy. It's him and Tristan Casas. If you heard a Red Sox player flipped off a fan last night, who do you immediately think of? It's this guy, because there's been incidents like this before. So what he should have done, again, he turns 30 in September. And you want to handle this better, then if you heard it, go find stadium security, point the a-hole out, get him thrown out, and then move on from there. Don't flip him off. Also,
again, in the moment, it's hard to do the right thing in the moment. I give deference to you. You just don't do the right thing at the heat of the moment, the spur of the second it happens. You got to do the right thing. No, I usually do the wrong thing.
Right. Many of us do once or twice, 4 times.
Well,
now.
Okay, so like I give him the benefit of the doubt in the moment, not the finger, but for not getting security. Like, the thing to do there is you hear that, immediately drift on over to the front row. Either if there's an usher standing right there, a security guy right there, point him out, or go into your bench, and you have a security guy, I'm sure, in the bench somewhere. Sometimes there's a cop down there, or a security guy, or a team official, or a traveling secretary, someone.
The team's got a guy.
Someone's got a guy. And you get the guy and you say, that dude right there just told me to blah, 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 go get him out. That's what he should have done. All right, so he didn't do it in the moment. I'll give him a break. Doing the exact right thing in the exact right moment, that's hard to do. That happened in the 5th inning. At some point after he had calmed down or just thought about it for a second, he should have told someone on the Red Sox and they go get the guy. So I just don't totally know where he's coming from. And the mental health thing is such an important thing and is such a real thing for him and people that it's important. And I don't want him to use it as a get out of jail free card because you did the wrong thing. You just sort of you play that card to get people off of you or onto your side when, you having mental health struggles does not give you license to be abusive. That's not the way that goes. We have sympathy for your very real and important condition. But if you then hurt other people, I'm out. I'm not. My sympathy for you and my understanding of your plight ends when you hurt other people. Now, that's usually physically. And I've got a high bar for verbal abuse, whatever. Say whatever you want. But it shouldn't give you license to be abusive to other people. So did this guy say what he said in the stands? I wish he had pointed it out immediately. So the other people in the stands around him would have said, yeah, this is the guy. Point at him. Get him out. Out. See ya. Bum. Loser. Some guy in the stands abusing him like that. If he said it, go right to him and get him out. I'm surprised have we seen or heard anything?
Nope.
No, in fact, I just Googled to see, and there were stories out there saying that MLB and the Twins are doing investigations to try to get the bottom of it. But there is nothing that I've seen that indicates they have some sort of resolution or answer. And again, it sounds like MLB and the Twins are doing separate investigations into it.
They should. Find the guy. There's cameras on everyone. There's microphones everywhere. Find him.
Yeah.
And he's done. He's done attending Major League games.
I mean, absolutely. That one to me is the easy part.
I just, on some level, I don't, I don't hope that he said that to Duran. That's an awful thing to say to someone. But in another respect, I do kind of hope he actually said that because I don't want Duran to be making it up. So he's had 4 incidents with fans over the years, at least. 2 of them were before he revealed anything about mental health, so they weren't mental health related. In fact, the one at Fenway Park where he turned around and called the guy the F word, basically, came to a heckling fan at Fenway Park after the fan shouted that Duran needed a tennis racket to hit, which on the order of, fan abuse is really on the low end. And I've got an exceptionally low bar when it comes to fans yelling at players and people on the field or the court. If you're that guy, if you are abusive in any way, shape, or form to someone on the floor or the court, you're gone. You're a loser. Out. And and my bar is exceptionally low. I think yelling at a player that he needs a tennis racket would pass even my low bar. Meaning, you can't let that one go? You got to turn around and call him a effing whatever? So all I'm saying is, Duran has been triggered by far less than go kill yourself. He's been triggered by things that really are actually kind of inbounds. The tennis racket comments inbounds. I'm sorry, it is.
I mean, that sounds like 1920s type heckling. It's kind of corny.
It's cute.
Yeah, right.
So if he can't handle that, so this all I'm saying is I kind of hope I do hope they find the guy. Find the guy. And I would just hope that he's not using it as a get out of jail free card. That would be diminishing the importance of the thing that he's really done a lot to advance and help.
I mean, to your point, the fact that 2 of these incidents took place before he had talked about his mental health at all, he hears it. He hears it. And and a lot of guys hear a lot of stuff and just kind of block it out and keep going. He's got to do a better job of blocking it out and certainly reacting to it. They'll get, the thing that was it last year in Cleveland that he had a thing with the guy? I think that last year was Cleveland. The other one was in Kansas City. I don't remember which year was which.
The one that was most recent, they threw the guy out of the stands.
Yeah, they did. Right. I think that's right.
He went right at him and was pointing at him. So that guy obviously said something. Other people heard it. No, him. Point him out. Do that all day long.
Absolutely.
So when you just go by the guy, and just randomly flip someone off and then go to the bench and don't say anything, and you flipped out before over kind of innocuous comments, like I want to trust where he's coming from on this, and I don't know if I totally do, is I guess what I'm saying. So I hope they find the guy. Either way, there's that in the mix as well. Your calls on everything we've done today. A lot of Vrabel, Russini, big board, Bruins heading into the playoffs, Red Sox getting off the schneid today in Minnesota, this Duran story, whatever you want. To you long commercial-free segment is next.
Now, more of Felger and Maz on the Sports Hub.
Sometimes you got to ask the tough question. Yeah. Not in New England, where they ask no questions. And I don't care what anybody says, whether he knew weeks ago that he was not going to attend this press conference or not. He had a responsibility to Patriot fans and the Patriot organization to try to put this to bed. Unless it can't be put to bed because she's in his bed. You are a coward, sir, because when things like this happen, and you run away and hide, and you try to avoid the media, and you cross your fingers, it'll just go away. I think you've learned a valuable lesson. It ain't just going to go away. Everybody's waiting, kind of like Groundhog's Day. Mm-hmm. When will Mike Vrabel come out of his hole, and will he see his shadow and disappear until training camp, or will he actually come out like a man and address the situation that needs to be addressed?
The news cycle has not died down. It's just, frankly, picking up because mainstream media has now picked up the story. So Maz and I arrived at the same conclusion. We didn't even talk about it before the show, as we rarely do. But we just sort of thought, we just said, we're going to follow up on the story, continue it today. Where do you think we are today? And we both came up with the same idea, which was, well, now it's going to turn to Vrabel.
Yeah, what about him?
Because I think that's, as it should. I think that just sort of makes a certain amount of sense. She lost her job. She has given a follow-up statement on her situation. And again, I think her statement was bunk and trash and unfortunate, and I just don't buy it or relate to it. I didn't like it. But the point is, she released more from her side, giving us a chance to beat her up again, and subjected herself to that. And she lost her job. Did I mention that? So that's happened to her. What's happened to Vrabel? And I think it's really easy for women especially, but anyone who just has a sort of a little sense of fairness to say, okay, isn't what's good for the goose good for the gander? We know what's happened to her. What's going to happen to him? And just ask the question, and now we begin that part of the conversation. I think that has begun, Matt.
Yeah, look, that's where we are now. So again, what about him? How is he just vanished in this thing, and there's no, I use the word consequence, but what is the next thing for him? It just goes away, and no one has to talk about it because the story's about her? The story's not just about her. It's about both of them. That's what the story was about. Once it got out, it's out. 2 pieces out of the tube. What do you do on that one? What, you talk about one person, you don't talk about the other? When they're both, equally at fault, at least on a human level? So, that one to me is, I can understand why women get agitated about this sort of, particularly women who are in the media. Because the way it looks right now, she lost her job. Her career may be gone with it. She may never get another job in media. I mean, I wouldn't rule that out. And meanwhile...
you know what? Let's hit on that for a second. I think will land on her feet.
I hope so.
Well, it's the internet.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, it's different. I think she'd have a place at Barstool. I don't know. I mean, there's.
Yeah, maybe
it's going to start with a weepy interview on Call Me Daddy or whatever that podcast is.
She's
It'll
got
be Oprah-esque.
All those avenues.
She'll play the victim, and then she'll be fine. It might take a little time. She'll end up with another job.
I think she's better off if she owns it and becomes a little notorious. Yeah, you don't give a crap about men running around having sex. Why do you give a crap about me running around having sex? F you. She could do that whole thing.
Sure, yeah, look.
That'd be the better play.
You bet.
Yeah. I guess all I'm saying is I don't know what she makes at or made at The Athletic. I think it was a pretty tidy sum.
The point is, Matt, she lost her job, and she lost a good job.
Yeah, there's been damage done to her professionally. There was a significant penalty for this whole thing for her. What's the penalty for him? Because right now, I don't see one. Like, and look, I understand that,
But what do you think it should be?
I'm Murray, I can't tell you what it should be. I'm not telling you Mike Vrabel should be fired. I'm not telling you that. But I also think he should be talked about in this whole thing as much as Russini is.
Oh, that I agree with.
Okay, at a minimum.
Yeah, and he should have to hold some sort of press conference or at least own up to this thing. With those statements they both put out, I think that they thought this was going to get the regular type news cycle where 72 hours, it'll be forgotten. People have short memories these days. It's only picked up steam. It's now getting worse for him because she's already paid the price. He's going to have to say something.
Right. So my point is, I don't know what the punishment should be, if any. I don't know exactly what he owes his team or us in terms of public statements. Like, we can debate all that. What does he owe his team? What does he owe us? What should he be reprimanded in some way? We can talk about all that. All I know is that's where the conversation has gone. The conversation is now going to go to what about him?
Definitely.
And it already has.
Does the NFL have a policy on coaches with, members of the media and the opposite sex?
That's a good question.
They should.
If not that, whether it's opposite sex or not.
Yeah.
What the parameters of the relationship you're allowed to have.
Yeah, I say opposite sex just in a heterosexual relationship.
But it doesn't need to be that.
No, it doesn't. You're right.
It could be a more blanket sort of thing.
There needs to be a code of conduct there. There's got to be something there that allows the league to look at a coach whose behavior was, call whatever word you want, immature, unprofessional, inappropriate, whatever. And there's got to be some sort of, standard set there in terms of what it is.
And so I've been talking about this since it happened last week, and Ben Volen finally wrote it today, and the Globe finally woke up and decided to cover the story 8 days into it. This is just amazing. Do you want to sell newspapers or not? I keep asking this. 8 days later, they pick up the most interesting story in sports that's been on the table here for over a week. They finally decide to cover it. But Ben Volen asks the thing and starts calling out the names of the thing I've been referencing forever, and that is Dianna Russini might have actually gotten in the hot tub with Vrabel, might have actually interlocked hands and done some canoodling. But how much farther over the line is it than what goes on routinely with a lot of the reporters that cover these teams and these sports? Proverbially, I'd say not literally, but figuratively, getting in bed with the people that they cover. How far off is it? And if I were Dianna Russini and I had the guts to do it and I could handle sort of the fallout, I'd say, me futzing with the coach is how much different it is than you futzing with the way you futz with the coach. We're all kind of futzing with the coaches, aren't we? So how do you futz with them? We could call that out, and Volen writes about it. He says, is Russini any more conflicted than Fox Sports' Jay Glazer, who counts dozens of current and former NFL players as clients as a mixed martial arts trainer? Or how about independent reporter Jordan Schultz, the son of Starbucks billionaire founder Howard Schultz, who invites athletes to his homes and on vacation, sent $700 in coffee machines to NFL executives.
I saw that.
And allows athletes to determine how to break news on his social media feed? Or ESPN's Peter Schrager, who is emceeing a Ravens event this week to debut their new uniforms and help sell personal seat licenses? Or any NFL Network reporter whose paycheck comes directly from the NFL? Or, he says, is Russini's relationship with Vrabel any more inappropriate than ESPN's Adam Schefter emailing an unpublished version of a story in 2011 to then Washington GM Bruce Allen? Interesting confluence of events here. Emailing an unpublished version of a story to then Washington GM Bruce Allen for calling him Mr. Editor? Or how about Schefter reportedly spending $16,000 on chocolates one year as a Christmas gift for his sources? $16,000 in chocolates?
That's a lot of
fancy chocolates.
Got to trade those out, brother.
He reportedly has a list of 150 recipients for his gifts and has also sent bottles of scotch and vineyard vine ties. Now, listen, I don't think Russini carrying on with Vrabel is on the same level as what Schefter was doing, but there's literally being in bed and figuratively being in bed? And is there how big of a difference is that?
Yeah, look, to me, the absolute worst transgression on that list is him sending a story to Bruce. Who was it?
Bruce Allen.
Bruce Allen.
Ironically enough.
Okay.
As I say that as it relates to Russini. Go ahead.
He sends him a story to review it. Whoa.
And calls him Mr. Editor.
Yeah. So, and my guess is he was effing around with that one, like said, okay, you're my editor today now. But even so.
But he's basically saying, tell me what you want me to write.
Right, exactly. Tail wagging the dog. You're supposed to be reporting on him, not the other way around. So, like, that one to me, if that were the New York Times, and I don't remember who he was working for in 2011, was that still ESPN?
Yeah.
But whatever. Like, that's a fireable offense. I think for a media person, that's a fireable offense.
I find what the Celtics media does in this town with the team they cover way more offensive than what Russini might have done. Way more pornographic and vulgar. But I say that not even really joking, but you know what I mean. And that's what Volan's point is. So now all I'm saying is the point of this cycle, now that it's mainstream, everyone's on it. She's already paid the price. The natural place to go is
him.
What about you? And at least ask those questions. And I don't think it will rise to the level what happened to Russini or should or any of that. I'm just saying that part of the story is coming. In fact, it's here. So there's your reset on Duran. There's your reset on Vrabel Russini. I promise. Right to your calls after Murray's 90-second update. No commercial.